Good evening, Christo. Can you hear me? Christo, good evening.
Oh, yes, Natalie, hello. Hello.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Good.
Ah,
It's been
here
a
we
rush.
are.
Yes, I can see you. Wonderful. Sorry, I was asked to step in, so I'm in such a rush
Thank
today.
you. I appreciate it.
And you've got such an interesting CV. I don't even know where to start.
No, you don't need to tell everything. Just what you prefer to tell. That's all.
Okay, fantastic. I will do so. Are you going to share a slideshow?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'm just going to make that you can share. Let me just turn that on. And then how long are you going to talk for? And can we give for answering questions?
Yes, yes. I would like to have it interactive. So anytime that people wants to ask a question or add, because I haven't got all the knowledge. There's a lot of knowledge out there, so that we can share alike. So yeah, no, please, if
Okay.
anybody wants to share and ask or whatever, please, they must feel free to do so.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I look forward to learning myself tonight. Very excited to hearing from you.
Thank you. I'm privileged to be here tonight. Also very excited about the topic.
It is. It's a really good one. I'm just going to start letting people in the room quickly.
Okay, sure.
And I've made you can share your screen when the time comes.
Okay.
I'm just going to take some notes down quickly. I'm normally more organized. It's just Annika asked me to step in last minute.
Yeah, okay. No, not a problem. Okay, I see there. I can share screen. Yeah. I think we wait till we start before I share screen.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to let people in. It's almost 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Fantastic. Good luck. I think you don't need it.
Thank
Be
you very
inspired
much.
by the Holy
I'm
Spirit.
looking forward with working with you as host tonight. Thanks.
Thanks, Christo. Good evening, Geraldine.
Hello.
How are you?
How do I do this? Sorry, while I'm here, I'm just cutting some onions quickly for dinner.
You're a good wife.
just mind me. I ran out of time here.
Don't worry, all
Because I'm
good.
crying is not because I'm happy to see you, Nat. It's okay.
Good
Hi,
evening.
Christy. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Geraldine. Nice seeing
Hi,
you.
Annette.
Hi, Apple.
Hi,
Hello.
everybody.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Rian. Oh, Rian's still joining. Oh, there he is. Not yet.
Hi, Andre.
Hello, Tilani.
Lani, Rian.
Hi, Rian. Good evening, Vernon. Good evening, Lindy Ware.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, hello.
Okay, we're just going to give a few minutes for everyone to enter the room. While we're waiting for everyone, how is everyone? How has your week been? It's only Tuesday, but it feels like Friday.
Yeah, no, Natalie, I can just think, we're quite busy, right? And I think because of January, February, March, I don't know if you feel the same. And I think a lot of people here feel the same. It's like we had January, we had February. March, we have no idea what happened to March, but apparently we're in April. So I think it's
Absolutely.
quite, yeah, it's bad. Well, busy. It's good.
Absolutely.
Steve, are you there?
He's here.
I am here, yes.
Dion is
Just
ook
sitting
hierso.
quietly in the
Hello,
background
Dion.
as usual.
Yeah. I'll put my camera off just now when I had to cut more stuff. Um, Hello, Dion.
I think Dion's also making dinner.
Yeah, I'm not making dinner
Busy with
yet.
something else.
He's being a good husband.
Hello, Geraldine.
Hello, Dion.
Geraldine's busy cutting onions for dinner in front of a laptop.
Yeah, I'm done now.
Oh,
Where's
okay.
Eugene?
He's sitting in actually on the other side of me.
Is it okay? Tell him I said hi. I miss you guys.
Yeah, he's supposed to make dinner, but yeah, he wants to be part of this. So yeah, so now I'm helping my daughter. At least she's 13, so but cutting onions is not her thing.
Shame. But this is your family meeting. All of us know one another. I know all your family, so it's our your family meeting.
Yeah.
Yes, and I see a lot of as people are joining, I'm seeing a lot of names that I've seen before on lots of conferences and webinars. So
Yeah.
it seems like we're always the same people. There's one
Yes.
or two that I don't really know. Um, but yeah, it is quite a family meeting.
Absolutely. Good evening, Rian. Nice to see you.
I'm busy sending the link still to people.
That's fine. Good evening,
Maat
Esther.
meneer van Sail.
Good evening.
I was thinking we were going to be a lot more because there was a lot of registration. But to be honest, last night I was busy with the Rule 43 for interim maintenance. And client said, no, he wants to phone me now at 5:30. I'm like, no, we can't discuss it now. I have a meeting at 6 o'clock. So I thought I had this thing last night already.
Sure. No, it
It's
is
just
busy.
crazy. So I think a lot of people forgot or yeah.
It is a busy time. Okay, we 5 minutes past 6. I think we will start and continue to admit people into the room. Okay, welcome everyone. Good evening. Warm welcome to all of you tonight as we do our CBD training. And tonight we're going to be listening to Christo Nodia speak on the need to communicate as family members on a regular basis. So welcome to our members, to the regular faces, and to the new faces online. It's lovely to have you all here in the room with us. And for those of you who don't know me, I am Natalie Raitis. I am a mediator and I'm an EXCO member for social justice, and I will be hosting you tonight. So tonight we're going to be listening to Christo Nodia, as I mentioned. Christo Nodia has a very rich CV. I said to him, I don't even know where to start with his CV. But Christo has a very interesting background, and he's got a wealth of experience and knowledge. And so I think all of us are very excited to hear Christo share this evening. But just to give you a bit of background on Christo, Christo has done his master's in theology in 1992 in pastoral therapy. He did a doctorate at UNISA, also in pastoral therapy, and his topic was how to write your confession of faith. He then served the church in 1984 up until today in 5 congregations of YMCA. He's been a board member since 1985 to 1990. He's been a spiritual worker at Mondor Prison from 1995 to 1988. He is a mediator. He's a trained and accredited mediator since 2015, so he's got a wealth of experience there. He's a member of social justice. He's part of our EXCO committee. What an honor to have him on our EXCO committee. He has done a restorative justice course, and he has done some trauma counseling. So he's also a member of the South Africa in Dialogue, and he's also a trainer for dialogue facilitators in South Africa in Dialogue. So we look forward to hearing from Christo tonight. Christo, over to you.
Thank you very much for that kind words, Natalie. It's a privilege to be here, and I'm very excited about the topic, because I think when we look at what the topic is, family meetings, I think it's so essential nowadays that we really get down, sit down, and talk to one another face to face. But yeah, there's a lot of, when we talk about family, and that I'll start off with, what is a family, so that we can actually understand the dynamics of families, because there's no just one family. It's not one size fit all. So in that sense, I'm privileged to be here. So I would like to share the screen and start off with my presentation. And I would like to invite you, this is the interactive presentation. I'm not here to give a lecture. I'm here to facilitate and give some information, but there's also a wealth of information around the table, as to speak, as we sit here and listen and talk and partake in this, what do you call it, lecture, seminar?
Training.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, please feel free to put up your hand, or just give an indication by raising your voice. Then I'll keep my voice down so that we can start talking. Right. I just want to share the screen here.
Go ahead.
Right, there we are. I'll start off with, say, family meetings. And I'm not quite sure where family meetings started. But it seems to me, when I look at all the literature, that you can boil down to two things where family meetings come from. Somebody is not happy and a family meeting is called, and somebody is happy and a family meeting is called. So those are the two reasons for a family meeting: unhappiness and happiness. So when we get to family meetings, what is it? I think one of the main things is that in family meetings, we get to know each other. And then the second in, learn to trust each other. And then know who you are, because the family also knows who you are. Although some of us don't know everything about ourselves, some of the family members know more about those areas that we don't know about ourselves. So yeah, what likes and dislikes we have, and what are you dreaming about? So I think that is the sum total of why there's family meetings. So is there somebody that would like to add to this list? Because I thought it through, and I think this is more or less what it boils down. Because if you know someone, you can actually trust them. And if I know who I am, I'm more of a person because I know who I am. And the only place, safe place where I can know who I am is actually with the family, who's sharing who I am to them, so that I got better insight. And then likes and dislikes, it's always good to have arguments, not for argument's sake, but to actually clarify likes and dislikes. And not everybody likes what I like. And so I do have some dislikes, but that doesn't mean that I don't like what you are or who you are. I just don't like your likes. So in that sense, it's good to distinguish between what is a like and who the person is that is liking the like. And then what are you dreaming about? I think families are actually the place where dreams can become a dream to actually be part of your life, and something of guiding you towards where you want to go in life. And then families are also the place where you can tell about what is your pain, what caused it, and try to just tell the people about your pain. So yeah, that is more or less what I feel family meetings is about. Later on in the presentation, I'll expand to this as to when we get to the family meeting agenda, which I think is a very important part of the family meetings. Anybody that would like to add something here or ask a question?
Hello, me, if I may.
Yes, please.
I just want to know, because we have in our family, family meetings, and one thing I am unfortunately a little bit guilty of lately is what you likes and dislikes. And I think maybe you can just help me. Does it fall under what likes or dislikes? For instance, I would ask in the meeting for my daughter or my husband, I will say, what do you expect more from me?
Yeah,
does that fall under likes and dislikes?
No, it's not. I think it's a separate heading because that gets to yeah, actually it can fall under that, because it's actually what in my being a family member offend you or put you off or you dislike. So as a family member, what would you like me to do more or new or better? So yeah, I think we can put it underneath there. Yeah, thank you. I think it's also a very good question to ask in a family meeting as to what in my behavior or demeanor is putting you off, bringing harm, bringing dislike. Because being part of a family, we need to actually understand and blend into the family. We'll get to that a little bit later, but I think, yeah, that's part of it. Thank you for the question, Geraldine. Anybody else?
Can I share something?
Yes, Rian.
Yes, every evening, me and my family members, we share with one another what we are grateful about.
Wonderful. Yeah. Because being grateful is a very important thing for actually the right attitude towards life. Because gratefulness brings a lot of other things to your mind that sometimes we tend to be just asking and instead of thanking more. So yeah, thank you very much. Especially if you're a religious person, gratefulness is I think a cornerstone of your behavior and your attitude. Thank you. Right. Anybody else? Thanks for sharing. The next slide talks about happiness. And some people say we need to be happy in a family. And I came across this East African definition of what is happiness. And I thought to myself, some people think happiness is a state of emotion, maybe a state of mind. But if you look at happiness requires something to do, something to love, and something to hope for, then happiness becomes totally much wider, much deeper than just the emotional feel good, the emotional at peace be that we usually think happiness is. So I thought that in a family, to be happy, you need something to do for the family. You need something to love in the family. And you need to something to hope for the family. So the moment we put this in the context of the family, I think it puts happiness in the family as to what can I contribute to the happiness of the family, and not sit back and be the one that is accepting everything in the family. Now you need to make me happy. It's actually something that you contribute. And every member of the family needs to contribute to the happiness of the family. Something to do. What do you need me to do? Cutting onions for my daughter. Sorry, Geraldine, using your example. But that is how we as family members contribute to the happiness of the family, and not necessarily the happiness of the family member. Because if the family is happy, then the family member is part of the happiness of the family. And I think thinking about this and not just the individual, I think it is maybe good for us to just talk about happiness for a while. Anybody that wants to add something or ask a question?
I can say something.
Yes, please.
I want to add to that. I think it's very important. It's not a question. I just want to add to what you're saying. I think as soon as a person in a family, may it be a child or an adult, as soon as they feel they're contributing something, you know, regardless what it is, even if it's me saying to a child, take your plate to the back, as soon as they start feeling more part of the family, you know, than just sitting back and not, you know, just happiness is not just like you say, sitting back and just observing everyone. It's actually feeling like you belong and you're part of this, whatever the effort is, you're part of this, you know. So I think that's a very important aspect.
Thank you, Annette, for sharing that with us. Yes, the moment I'm part of the family and feel that I'm part of the family by contributing, and my contribution is accepted, and also people is happy about that, then there is definitely I'm part of something bigger. I'm part of the family. So yeah, thank you for sharing that with us.
I just want to say I'm busy with a book right now, Crystal, of
Yes,
The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And
right.
you know, I've read it a few times and I'm just trying not to go through it again. But you know, the last one in terms of sharpening the saw. And you know, what he wrote was about stress. And then he said, you know, in his research on stress, basically said that a long, happy, and healthy life is the result of making contributions, of having meaningful projects that are personally exciting and contributing to and bless the lives of others. I mean, he didn't focus now on the family per se, but I think, you know, it just emphasized your point of doing something, contributing something, and, you know, making it almost like meaningful.
Yes, thank you, thank you. Yeah, that's a wonderful book. I've also read it a few times, so thank you for sharing that. Stephen Covey is quite a writer with that book. You make an impression in the world with that book at some stage. So yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, anybody else wants to contribute to happiness? Because I think there's a few definitions that I would like to clarify as we go along, so that when we get to really the nitty-gritty of the agenda, that these is in the back of our minds. Then to be a family requires to have the fitness and the flexibility to be able to adapt and be able to do well and be good in any given situation. I think this is part of the exercise of a family, to actually make family members fit and flexible to adapt. Because in the days that we are living in, fitness and flexibility to adapt, I think, is most crucial for any individual to actually survive the life that we are living, and then be able to do well and be good in any given situation. That, I think, is mentorship. And part of being a parent is guiding your child in this, to be fit and flexible to adapt, but not just to adapt, but be able to do well and be good in any given situation. So part of being a family is not just to learn what is happiness. It's also to help the family member to require fitness and flexibility to adapt, and then to be able to do well and be good in any given situation. So yeah, when we're looking at families, I think this is crucial. This is the gym of the family, where we sit down around the table and we understand what fitness means, what flexibility means, where do you need to adapt? And then after you've adapted, you look back and say, were I able to do well and be good in the situation? So in that, I know it's a mouthful, but I think this is one of the things that if we can teach in families this, and we can acquire these, then the families will be much better and contribute to the community that they are in, and also to the rest of the country. So yeah, anybody that wants to add to this?
I would like to again. I will not
Yes,
raise my
please,
voice
Annette.
again. I'm not sure if I'm understanding this correctly, but if I do, I want to say that in an ever-changing world, especially today, that we live in, that everything is so fast, and with technology especially that comes into play. I just thought about it the other day that my kids are, for example, 5 years apart, but I can already see that I as a parent have to adapt to the way things are with the small kids compared to what it is with my child in high school. And the way I taught my child in high school is not necessarily all that relevant anymore of how what I need to teach the young ones now. It's only a 5-year difference, but there's such enormous changes that's going around, especially when we get to family and kids. And I almost want to blame technology for that. And I know there's good with it as well. But even just with a 5-year difference, I can already see that you as a family have to adapt and change. And yes, to make that child or person feel good in his space and his phase where he's at. Okay, does it make any sense? But for my older one, I have to then explain why is it different for them now than what it was for you back then. So but it's an ever-changing thing, and we need to adapt. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges today.
Thank you, Annette. I think that is exactly what this means, but because you also need a certain kind of fitness to stay flexible and to adapt. It's not a thing that happens to you. If you're not fit, you're not flexible. If you're not fit, you won't adapt. And then actually to be able to do good and well, it's quite a challenge. Thank you very much. Yeah. Natalie, I think your hand is in the air.
No, it's not my hand. There's a Zoom new user. We can't see your name, but you may go ahead.
Oh, okay.
To the Zoom user that's hand is raised, you may go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry, I can't see your name.
Yeah. Maybe it's just a finger fault. Well,
Let me
anyway.
unmute the person.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Geraldine, you can go ahead so long.
While we're waiting for the person to join, might I just ask a question, and maybe you're going to answer this, Dr. Nadir, later on. Just a question. I understand that we need to be able to adapt, and as circumstances change, and as you know, our colleague said now, as the children grow, it's different, different ages and so forth. But how do we, as parents or in a family, teach our children, like say, for instance, look, there's going to be a divorce, or there's going to be conflict, or there's conflict because of something, or mom's upset because of something at work. How do we deal with that? How do we change that flexibility to show our children that, look, me as an adult have to be flexible, and therefore you need to be flexible as a child? Just explain to me the flexibility to adapt. Is that flexibility to adapt and be able to, is that only for parents, or should we concentrate also on children on that? Or I'm just a little bit thinking about it.
Yeah, no, that's
Thank you.
very, very good question. Okay, so in other words, the first thing that we need to be fit for is to actually understand the context in which we are. That requires a certain fitness to survive and to live well in the context that we find ourselves in. And then the flexibility is that life is ever changing. So it's not just the fitness that we need to keep up with the pace of the ever changing, but the flexibility to adapt to the changes in such a way that we are still able to do well and be good. That's the flexibility. And then when we're able to adapt, then we will, for every situation, understand that there is no one size fit all, that every given situation, mom and dad is fighting now, but they're not going to divorce and run out of the house and never come back again. They're just arguing. So you need to sit out and let them finish. And after that, you can come back and we will explain to you what this argument was all about. But don't get upset and run away if we argue, because sometimes we need to argue because we feel strong about certain things, and we need to voice our point. Where else can we do it except in the family? So in that sense, I think this is what it means. The fitness and the flexibility is for the context that we are in, because it asks for us to adapt. And children need also to adapt. As they grow older, they need also to adapt to getting older, getting more responsibilities in the house. So when I'm little, I'm just fed I'm just fed and kept dry by changing my nappies. But later on, I need to listen to the rules of the house. I need to contribute to the house, and so on. So that is how I adapt as I grow older. The same adaptation is to the outside of the world, in the context itself that we find ourselves. We also need to adapt to different situations in the schools that we are in the workplace that we find ourselves in. All the time we need to understand, what do I need to adapt to? And when I understand that, then this will help us to actually be fit and flexible. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Zoom.
I would
user
also like
ready.
to contribute.
Yes, please.
I believe that parents need to prepare their children. You can't expect children to adapt without you preparing them. For instance, let's say you plan on relocating. Both parents have probably planned this months prior to relocating. You can't just wake up and tell the children that you are relocating next week without preparing them. You need to understand that the children have a life. So I believe that you always have to prepare your children in order for them to adapt.
Very good point. Thank you so much. I think it's very important to understand that also the children are human beings. They've got the mind of their own and choices of their own. And we need to take them along with what we do with the big decisions like relocating and so on. Yeah, thank you so much. It's very important. I appreciate your input. Right. I would like
We do have
to
one more comment, Christo.
Yes, please.
to the Hi there.
Yeah,
You've
yeah.
got your hand up. We can see your face, but we can't see your name.
Maybe unmute.
I can't seem to unmute on my side.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can.
Sorry, it's my phone. I don't know if my hands are oily, but I'm not being able to unmute myself. I also just wanted to make a comment. I find that a lot of parents, if you have got continuous communication with your children, it becomes a lot easier for the fitness and flexibility, and to also allow your kids to adapt to the new procedures within the house. But I find a lot of parents seem to forget that their children are part of the family and they just make all their decisions on their own. And last minute, they tell the children what are going to happen. Whereas if you discuss it as a family every evening, I mean, I find it's very unusual nowadays. Parents don't have dinner around a table and sit and discuss their days as was done in the past. It's people sitting in front of a TV, watching a program, eating off their laps. You know, that seems to be the biggest problem in a lot of families at the moment.
Yes, thank you so much. Very, very powerful contribution. Later on, we'll get to what will happen in the family meetings. And there I do have some 10 agenda points that I would like to discuss and tell you about when we get to the agenda. Thank you. Annette.
I promise after this I won't say something again. I'll give everyone a chance. I just want to add to the previous lady that said, you know, it should be a daily thing. Just a small little example, you know, we make time, we find with the ages where our kids are at, they speak the most just before they go to bed. Gosh, no, I don't know why, but before bed is always a good time, and they, you know, then they start getting chatty. So we try to get a balance between speaking to them all together at night. We make it a fun little session where we all sit on the bed and we all speak and we ask about the goods and the bads of the day. And if there's anything to discuss as a family, that's the kind of thing that we'll do there as well. But then at the same time, just before everyone falls asleep in their own rooms, you have we balance it between me and my husband to have a little check-in, because sometimes there's things kids want to say in private as well. So it's a balancing act, but it's quite an active thing on a daily basis to do that, to keep kids and yourself as a parent fit. I almost want to say, you know, and open enough to all the daily challenges and things that happen.
Thank you so much. I see Pritima and also the Zoom user again. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Christo, for letting me say something. I'm interested in this, but not at a level where I have young children and I need to speak with them right now or anything like that. But I received an invitation recently, very recently, from the St. Augustine's organization in Cape Town, where they talk about coming home, homemaking towards peace building. And I questioned that because I couldn't quite see the link. And Professor Jaco Kruger from St. Augustine's responded and mentioned something called domicide. Domicide is, in effect, the killing of the domestic arrangement, the domicile where families live and so on. And because I questioned how that has a bearing on peace building and I suppose on a bigger level, the peace in the family, the community, and then the country, I suppose. And I was very interested that such a phenomenon actually existed. And I think we should bear in mind that when we train ourselves and our families in regard to having meetings and together and speaking and all of that, that this in the back of our mind should have a bearing on what is happening on the outside as well. Because you can't, I can't think that we would have a place of such peace in our homes, and when you open the door, that the children face such challenges. So I thought that issue of a domicide, and then how to deal with that, should form part of the discussions that we are having today. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. I think that's why I put the fitness and flexibility to adapt first. Because yes, I think the home need to be a safe haven. And I'd like the word peace building into the house. I think it's wonderful. If we look with my background as a Christian and a pastor, the shalom, peace of God that's the reigning overall, and He is in us and through us and around us. He will actually help us to build that kind of peace in the house between mom and dad and the children, mom and the children. So in that sense, I think that is part of the second part of what I said there, to be able to do well and be good. You can't be good if you don't have inner peace, if you don't have inner joy. That's not possible to be good in any given situation, whatever the situation, whether it's inside the family or outside the family, to actually be good. So that's why I said in the beginning, this is a loaded sentence, but yeah, every word in this sentence, in this definition, in this requirement is loaded with a lot of background to actually to be able, who enable you to be well. Yes, your parents and yourself and your spiritual life is the enabler to do well and to be good. So yeah, it's enablement that is there. And I think that is what you're trying to tell us, that the domicide of the death of the family and everything that it stands for in the society actually needs to be dealt with, conquered by this enablement of to do well and be good in any given situation. So yeah, thank you so much. Can I continue? The next slide that I would like to share. Oh, why is it not working? Oh, there's it. There's an exchange happening in our lives of time. All we have is 24 hours, 84 minutes or seconds, 84,000 seconds. What are we doing with that? And we exchange it for work, and we also exchange time for relationships. So it's very important for us to understand that when we let to allocate a certain portion of the time for relationships. And what is interesting, that in the relationship transactions, there is a lot of transactions simultaneously happening. Me and myself, I've got an internal transaction when I are with the family in a meeting, internal transactions, and I need to be aware of that. Then me and other people, there's interpersonal transactions. me and mom and me and dad, or me and my brother or my sister is just sharing a little joke while we at the family meeting. And that's just an example. Then me and what I do, there's method interactions. And then me and how I do it, process interactions. So those are the kinds of things that we need to take into consideration. That is why family meetings are so very important, because all these interactions and transactions gets in motion in a family meeting. So there we sort of practice these kind of transactions and interactions. And that's why this is so very important. The next slide is actually to say, what is the purpose of a family? What are we working towards? Viktor Frankl suggested that we are not the ones who should pose the question, what is the meaning of life? Instead, life asks each of us to respond to its ultimate challenge. And this challenge is, what will we do to fill our unique responsibilities in our lifetime? So that is the main big question. And you can put there under unique responsibilities, there is a lot of things that you can put in there. If you are a Christian, the unique responsibilities will relate to that. If you are part of another religion, your responsibilities will relate to that. If you are somebody that doesn't believe but have an inner guidance of morals, then that unique responsibilities will be put under there. The unique responsibilities that life is asking of us, and we need to fulfill that. And in preparation for that, family meetings help us to establish understanding of the responsibilities we have towards our lifetime. And although I've said all the other things, this is also important, that we understand that there's a responsibility. We can't go out as family and just be. We need to take responsibility for the fact that we are part of this lifetime. And it asks of us certain things. And to add to that, Aristotle examined the human condition and came to the remarkable conclusion, only the good can be happy, and only the virtuous can be good. This is one of the breakthroughs in philosophy. Imagine, you can only be happy if you are a good person, and you can only be a good person if you practice the virtues associated with goodness. So in that sense, I think it is important for us to understand that when I said in the beginning that you do well and be good, that it means that you need a set of virtues. Virtues means, how do I add value to life? That brings me to the second last introductory slide. To achieve happiness and become a good person, you must know that character is the most significant success factor. Suppose you want to change your outer world. In that case, you must go to work like a computer programmer at the keyboard to reprogram your subconscious mind, your world of values, beliefs, and inner convictions, so that the person you are inside is precisely the mental equivalent of life you want to enjoy on the outside. Pratima, I see your hand. Thank you.
Yeah. I want to suggest, and I hope this doesn't offend, but I want to suggest that the concept of family, as I'm beginning to think we're seeing it here, is mommy, daddy, brothers, sisters, whatever, and those are the meaty. But actually, our family is all of that which is on the outside. In other words, when I think of family as I'm thinking about it now, every time I meet up with colleagues and friends, they're part of my family. And I wouldn't want to think differently when I'm in my household family and when I'm on the outside with my other family. In fact, I firmly believe that as human beings, we are one large family. So the values that you speak of, the beliefs you speak of, the, as you call it, the mental equivalent, should be that we bring that spirit to almost all of our interactions with everybody. I think for me, if I were to treat my non-family family as differently as I would to my family, where you have respect, you have care for each other, you check how people are doing, then I think we're falling short. We need to actually understand that which we exercise within our four walls of a family and the roof, that can be taken on the outside as well. I just want to allow us to think of the family as far larger than what is mother, father, children, granny, all in one place. And I would like to say that those loves and those should be taken outside as well, should be carried with us at all times, so that we view people in the same loving way as we would view those in our families. I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That brings me to the next slide, and that is the purpose of a family. That means, what will we do to fulfill our unique responsibilities in our lifetime, and how do we add value to life? So everything we do inside the house must move towards the community, the society, because now every one of us understands or try to understand, and we are still in the process of being adaptable and trying to understand what we are and who we are, and the unique responsibilities in our lifetime, in every given situation. What is the unique responsibility for that situation? How do we add value to life in specific situations? Those are the kinds of things that I would like us to have in mind now that we're going to move to the family. Yes, this was broad. This was sort of the background of, if we talk about family, this is the kind of framework that we need to understand when we're working with family. And the focus that we're going to have now is more to the part that Pratima was now referred to as within the walls. So we're going to move towards that. But remember that the family inside is part of a community and a society. And to able to survive there, to adapt there, to be flexible there, we need to have, within the walls of our families, we need to have the coaching and the mentoring. And sometimes outside, we are mentored and we are coached. So that dynamic is there always in our lives. So Anybody that would like to add something before we move to modern day families? Yes, Zoom has raised their hand. Thank you.
Hi, I'd like to just raise something. I love the saying where they say it takes a community to raise a child, meaning it doesn't only take the family and the family group. It's everybody that basically comes in and assists and raises their child and assists, makes comments and that type of things.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I think part of this kind of families that we're going to look at, there's a lot of different families, but I'm just going to touch on a few to actually help us understand that family is not just the father, mother, brother, and sister. It's larger than that. But thank you so much. The community is also very important. Several vital characteristics of the family. There's a diverse structures. Modern families come in various forms. They are not limited to the traditional nuclear family of parents and children. Instead, they include single parent families, where one parent raises the child or children. And nowadays, I think it's about 27% to 30% parents that are married. We talk about between 60% of single parent families. So it's huge as we speak about families. So yeah, then we get the blended family formed through remarriage. Children from previous relationships come together with new step siblings. And then we get the same-sex couples, families with the LGBTQ plus, parents who provide love and care for their children. And then we get the adoptive families, parents who adopt children, create strong bonds beyond blood ties. And then child-free families, couples who choose not to have children. And then the extended families, including grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, who play significant roles. And that's part of the community that is raising children. I've just chosen these few. There's up to 11 kind of families. But I don't want to get into the detail too much because family is family as you understand it. And these are just pointers for us to understand a little bit more. But then there's very important. There need to be a tolerant and flexibility. This is the primary definition of a modern family, with respects the particularities of each member, and not to limit to a pre-established scheme of traditional roles of mom, dad, son, or daughter. That's very important, it seems to me, when I look at the literature, that those pre-established schemes of traditional roles are just a minority, about 2 or 3% of the families that we know that still have these traditional roles. The rest is adapting to the particularities of each member. So yeah, and now we get to what is the context of the modern day family. Fluid roles and gender equality. Modern families challenge traditional gender roles. Both parents often share childcare, household chores, breadwinning responsibilities. Gender equality is a core value that promotes fairness and balance. Sorry, I didn't ask you any questions about this. Is there anybody that wants to contribute before I continue with the context of the modern day family? Ah, there's Nukuzolo. Nozola, thank you. You've got a question.
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity. I just would like to know, where would you then place child-headed households and the issues you are raising in terms of values and respective roles? Because in some instances, you would find that the burden of parenting rests with an older sibling who has to raise others. So how do we empower and support child-headed families, so that they could espouse the same values of peace and justice that you are alluding to, which are very critical? They are the very foundation, or they should be the foundation for our society. Thank you.
That's such a good question. I've been part of outreach to Alexandra, where there is children that survives HIV, and there you get that the older children are looking after the younger ones. They actually living in a house, and the older children taking the responsibility of taking care of the younger ones. And yeah, to my mind, it won't be the same for them as it is with grown-ups being present and understand a lot of these things. But I think having house rules in the house and explain to them what house rules means and how to implement the house rules in such a way that there's a fairness and not an abuse. I think that is part of guiding them to actually helping them keeping the house and helping the younger ones to get fed, get washed and clothed and so on. So yeah, I think it starts with what is the rules of the house? What is the boundaries in the house? Those kind of things is, I think, what is primarily needed in households like that. So first of all, I would start off with, say, what is the house rules? Help them to understand the house rules and implement them. And then also, what is the boundaries? Because each person needs certain space for himself. I know in some houses there's no space, but people do need their own space, just to stand up in the morning on your own 2 feet and have a space to stand. That's already having a space. So those are the kinds of things that I would like to see them understand and implement more. I hope I answered your question. Pratima.
Thank you. I think this is where, for me, the idea of the extended family needs to play in. And when I say family, I don't mean family as in a family member, and especially with child-headed households, which are significantly difficult, where an older child takes all the responsibility of bringing up his or her siblings, feeding them, seeing that they get to school. And that is why it is so critical that the services that are provided by NGOs, NPOs, and the social development people in regard to child-headed households must take into consideration that this person who is the head of that household himself need parenting. And it is critical that they, when I say they, I mean the social workers, understand that this is an unnatural situation, but that their assistance in training up that parenting child is critical to allow that family to survive. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So true. Thank you. Now I can continue with the context of the modern day family.
Sorry, Christo, we've got a
Yes.
comment or a question in the chat box. If you can
Oh.
address it in your talk. Someone asks, are you able to share more information on single parenting, especially when there's so much to do and very little time for everything to be fitted in one day?
Oh, yeah.
So as we speak, maybe
Yeah.
just touch on that.
That is a crucial question. Being a therapist at the school, I get a lot of single parents sitting in my office, and their coping skills is just so much. Their time is just that much. And so they try to make the best there is to what they have. And yeah, I take my hat off for single parents. I think they do an amazing job raising children the way they do. Yes, and some kids are also very difficult. So that added to the situation. Difficulties. So yeah, in that sense, I think this to say to the children, and that is to have boundaries and set house rules and try to be strict on it. Some parents battle with that, but I think boundaries and rules are the two things that needs to be clarified. The child understand the house rules and also the boundaries there is. Or they are, then the child can actually partake in helping. Because remember, in the beginning, I said it is to be flexible. So those children are taught to be very flexible, because sometimes the single parent needs to work overtime. Sometimes there's no and pick them up, so they need to arrange for someone to drop them at the house. So those are kind of adaptabilities they must learn, and that is part of where they are. Nothing is going to adapt to that in their certain situation. So yeah, but thank you for the question. So yeah, there's the gender, fluid roles and gender equality. Then the technology and communication. Family stays connected through technology, video calls, social media, messaging apps allow family members to interact across distances. However, managing screen time and maintaining genuine connections are challenges. So those are the context in which the family is trying to be a family with all these technology and communications. Another context of the family to take into considerations is the emphasis on emotional bonds. In the modern family, the affective bond, emotional connection, takes precedence over blood ties. That's the new kind of family that we are talking about. Families prioritize emotional support, empathy, and understanding as much more important than the blood ties. So it's important for us to understand that family nowadays are looking for emotional support, empathy, and understanding. Love and care are essential regardless of biological relationships. So yeah, therefore we can have different families, different kind of families, because in the end, it's about this, the love and care that we receive through emotional support, empathy, and understanding in families. And that, I think, is one of the golden rules in families, that whoever belongs to a family, emotional support, empathy, and understanding is crucial. Love and care is essential. So I think that is some of the things that we need to look at. Flexible definitions. The definition of family has expanded. It includes people of any gender, married or not. Children may be born to one or both parents, adopted or fostered. What matters most is the love and commitment shared within the family unit. So there's a sort of commitment to the family. So when we look at families, we need to understand where is the commitment. That will be the family. So yeah, we need to understand that there's flexible definitions, but there's a commitment. Support networks. Families serve as a powerful extended network that provide emotional resilience, encouragement, and a sense of belonging. Technology and data analysis reveal the importance of these networks throughout our lives. And then the last one is the context of the modern day family. And families are diverse, adaptable, and centered around love, care, and emotional bonds. They reflect society's changing dynamics and embrace various family structures. So I think when we look at families, this is what the family is all about. Any questions about the context of the modern day family? Anything you want to add? Then I would like to get to Nukuzula.
Hi, Christo. Thank you
Yes,
again
yes.
for the
Okay,
opportunity.
yeah.
We're talking about the context of a modern day family. There's something that is like a scourge in our country of late, GBV and children who are living in those environments, children who have seen love expressed in violent forms. So there's that, and that's what they are seeing in the community, the oppression of women and those who are vulnerable. So then the question becomes strategies that we need to apply and equip the children with. We can have in schools, in school there are safer schools, there's all kinds of programs. But when kids come back home, the safety net is very, very weak or non-existent. And there's an issue of economic dominance. The perpetrator of that violence could be the one who puts bread and butter or jam and bread on the table. And so those children are being socialized into accepting an untenable situation at home. It's like they're living a schizophrenic life now. At school, they are taught this. And there's a conflict between their values and what prevails at home and what, they are being taught and expected to internalize. I'm wondering how would you respond to that?
It's exactly that. Thank you. That is such a good remark, because with a chat platform OBG, and there's a lot of cases where the wife or the girlfriend with children cannot get out of the situation because they don't have any money. They have no place to go. And then the boyfriend or the husband is the one with the money, and he's also abusive, very abusive. For me, I don't have really an answer for it, except for trying to empower the woman to try to get work, try to get her extended family involved, and try to get help from there. Yes, social workers can help, but I don't think they can actually take away the situation in the house. The woman must try to get away from that and get the children away from that. But then she put them on the street and they starve to death. So yeah, that's a very, very difficult and challenging position to be in. I don't really have the answer for that now. Thank you. Yeah, maybe you do.
Not necessarily. I'm just putting that out, to say that's the challenge, to complicate the situation also. If you remove or you assist the woman to move into a shelter, the shelter can only accommodate the woman for 3 to 6 months. And during that period, the woman has to have found employment, found alternative accommodation. And given the state of our economy, chances are very slender. And sometimes the woman might not even have the requisite skills, to access employment, or unless, there are opportunity for skilling, so that this, woman and her children, or the woman in particular, could be assisted to learn some skill that will assist her in the future, to sustain herself. Families are very thin in terms of supporting, abused women, because there's also, you might have also read in the papers now that the abuser will find the woman and mop of, family members in the process. So the situation is getting frightening. But it doesn't mean we can't step in, and assist survivors of GBV. Thank you. I just wanted to put this on the table. Thanks again, Christo, for the presentation.
You're welcome. Then I've got Mabatu.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was mute. Good evening, Christo and everyone. How are you?
Well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'd like to respond to the question that has been asked by Nokzola.
Yeah.
It goes back to the role of the community. If the community has to go back and take its responsibility to say we shouldn't find ourselves talking about gender-based violence in the corners, not doing anything to report the matter, because I am a social worker by profession, but sometimes you'll find that even the community members, when they report, most of the time they want to remain anonymous. Even in a situation where you realize that there's no risk to the neighbor, but they will still refuse to even be witnesses in the cases where a case has to be opened. So I think the community must help in terms of addressing the gender-based violence that is happening. And also if we educate our teachers as well in schools to be able to identify whenever a child has been abused. And also you'll find that somebody's a teacher and it's aware, it can realize that it has identified that the child is not coping. But some of them will be saying, we don't want to intervene, we don't want to find ourselves maybe in problems where we have to Now, if they will be saying this teacher was the one who reported this, you know, some are even scared to report the matter based on the fact that they want to protect themselves. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Natalie, I see your hand is raised.
Yes, I just also wanted to respond to Nokuzola. I'm going to be a bit vulnerable here, but I do believe that trying to prevent and fight gender-based violence is a collective commitment of the community. And I think Mbatu said it goes back to, it's basically Ubuntu. Like, you know, I look after my neighbor look after me and my children. That's essentially what it is. And I remember listening to a doctor who's done a lot of research in trauma. And one of the things he said is trauma is healed on a moment-to-moment basis, meaning someone who's been traumatized, even a victim of violence or, you know, any form of violence, will be healed on a moment-to-moment basis. In other words, when they encounter someone who shows them healing, compassion, empathy, it's a little bit of healing. And the next time they encounter that moment again, it's more healing to them for them in trauma. And just to be sort of vulnerable and to share my story, I came from a very dysfunctional family where there was hectic domestic violence, to the extent we'd wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and people are fighting, parents are fighting. It was very traumatic, but there were people within my community that on one occasion, there was a gentleman that walked 7 blocks down the road just to pull me out of the house for the evening. And that kindness, I identify as a moment of healing for me. And then going to visit these friends who had functional families and seeing what a functional family looks like, and they showed love and compassion on me, gave me that healing. So that when I grew up, when I became an adult, I then took on that responsibility to pass on that kindness and to stand up against any form of violence within our communities. So I do feel like it's a collective effort. It is every single one of it's our responsibility collectively. And just to always know that we are mothers and fathers of community. So it also goes back to when we see a child-headed household, we need to see how we can invest or love or even just sow into that family, whatever that looks like. Now imagine if a few of us all did that, that will change the trauma that families or victims are experiencing. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. Natalie, thank you for sharing, because experiencing firsthand that there is care and love and emotional bonding in that situation of severe trauma, I think that is exactly what is needed. People around us, the community, that takes responsibility for the community themselves. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that with us tonight. It's such a wonderful presentation that I'm part of. We're having all these input, so I feel blessed tonight to be part of this tonight. Thank you for sharing. I would like to carry on and to say that there's several challenges, and how I've put these challenges together is I'm looking at the challenge, what the issue is, and how we can put that as a topic for family meeting agendas. So that in the end, we have 10 points for the agenda that you can decide, you can prioritize whatever the needs of the family is at the moment, to actually say, okay, this is how we're going to have a family meeting. First of all, there is the work-life balance. I think that is one of the crucial things when we get to families, that the issue is always juggling the work, with the parenting, with personal time, and then with the family time. And that can be overwhelming. So the topic for the family meeting agenda is prioritize quality family time. Set priorities and practice self-care. So I think in that sense, you go to the family table and you say, listen, we need time together as a family. What time will suit all? And then you say, this is untouchable. Of course, it's not cast in stone all the time. Sometimes you need to adapt and be flexible. But to try to set a time for the family, may it be half an hour or an hour, I don't think you need less than 30 minutes. You need actually more. But if you can extend it to 60 minutes of your time, I think that is a wonderful thing, to actually sit down. And then when you sit down, you talk about boundaries and self-care is two of the topics that you also need to look at and also to elaborate on. So what is the boundaries of using your phone? What is the boundaries of being in your room alone? What is the boundaries of watching TV? What is the boundaries of eating together? So on and so on. So there's a lot of boundaries that you need to set in your house to actually make your house family meeting friendly. So yeah. And then practice self-care as a parent, but also practice self-care as a child. You need to help your children to understand self-care. Personal hygiene is just part of it. But there's also self-care of how are you looking after all the thoughts that you're thinking, or all the feelings that you're feeling. What do you make of it? How do you handle yourself with your thoughts and your emotions? That's part of the practice of self-care. And you need to guide your children in that because they don't have it in themselves. So yeah, those will be kind of the agendas that you can start off in the family meeting. Then the second one is sheltering and housing. My family struggled to find affordable and safe housing. That is part of it. Sometimes I do have it. But the topic then for the family meeting agenda will be, what is the resources that we have? What research assistance programs can we use? And explore housing options. And that is part of when we're really struggling to find affordable and safe housing. How do I safeguard my house? How do I stay in my house when the rents of the banks is getting higher and higher? So how do I actually afford and safeguard my house? Those will also be things to teach your children also, to lock all the doors all the time, to not keep your doors open, to be safe when walking to the house, to lock the gate after they've entered the house, so on and so on. So be aware when they get to the house, if they are alone, is there other people around that can mug them or rob them or get into the house? Those kind of things is to safeguard the house and to make your children aware of all the things. And when something went wrong, where's the resources? Do you know your neighbors? And so on and so on. So that will be also part of the topic for a family agenda. Then financial stresses, the economic pressures, debt, job instability, impact family well-being. Topic for the family meeting is have a budget for everyone in the family, whether it's mom or dad, or it is brother or sister. Everybody needs a budget. That's the way to make people money wise. If you have a budget, you've got that amount of money, you've got that amount of days in a month. How are you going to spend your money wisely? And then save and how to seek financial advice. Those are the kinds of things that you also can have at a family meeting agenda, because whether you like it or not, when there's financial problems, it goes down to the children. They feel it. Sometimes they don't understand what they're feeling, but they feel it and they know something is wrong. And you need to come open and tell them some of it, not all of it. That won't be wise. But tell your children some of the problems that you are having and what you're doing about it. Because it's not good just to explain to them the problems. You also need your children not to always looking at the problems, but what's the solutions to the problems? And they need to understand that that's what you're busy doing when you've got a problem. And then parenting pressures, societal expectations, and parenting norms can be overwhelming. Children do this thing in school. They compare parenting. And according to the parenting that they most like, that was presented by one of their schoolmates, that they find that this is the best parenting norm that I can get. Then they go home and they say, I want this, I want that. And if you explore it, you'll see it's because some kid at school has presented his parents as the ultimate parents to have, which is not true in a sense, because every parent do have their own boundaries. But he's just presenting it in a way that it sounds so good that every kid in school would like to have parents like that. But it's not feasible and it's not viable to look at that. So the solution for the parents is trust your instincts. Seek support from other parents, and remember there's no one-size-fits-all approach to parenting. Sometimes you need to tell your children you've got the parents you deserve, because of their behavior you react in a certain sense, in a certain way to them. So now they're getting the parents because the way they are behaving. If they behave in another way, the parenting style will change. And voila, they get the parent that they would like. So that's some of the things that you need to take into consideration when you have this as an agenda point on the topic. Trust your instincts, seek support, remember. Right, changing family structures. The issue is family becomes a diverse form, single parenting, blended, LGBTQ and plus, which can lead to unique challenges. Topic for the family meeting agenda: embrace diversity. How are you going to do that? Communicate openly, when, where, and how, and build strong bonds regardless of family structures. How are you going to do that? So those are the kinds of things that would put a lot of, we do this, we do that, this is needed. So this will be an agenda point that will have a lot of doing in it. when you discuss this as an agenda for the family agenda meeting. Then there's the ever-present technology and screen time, balancing screen time, social media, and digital distractions affects family dynamics. Topic for the meeting agenda is set boundaries, encourage face-to-face interactions. What is the boundaries to look at your phone? Can children take their phone to the bedroom, to their bed? Because some of them don't sleep, they rather chat with some of their other partners with phones in their beds. So they actually go to sleep very late, some 12 o'clock, some 1 o'clock, because they are chatting all the night long. So encourage face-to-face interactions. How are you going to set that up? There was an example of having children chat before they go to bed, and then the one-on-one of the mother with the one and the father with the other, and then they change around. Those are the kinds of things you need to try to establish. And then promote digital literacy. Very important that children know that actually under the age of 13, it's not viable for children to have cell phones too long, because they don't know what to do with everything that's on the cell phone. So yeah, and try to teach them what is appropriate and not appropriate for social media, which is very important, that they understand that there is something of boundaries also in the social media of what they share and don't share. So those are the kinds of things that you need to talk to your children about. And then the mental health and stress, I think this is a very important point. Stress, anxiety, mental health issues impact family relationships. Yes, where's I hear a sound. Nobody. Okay. These are very, very common nowadays amongst the children at school. Every second child does have stress or suffer from anxiety or does have mental health issues. And these kinds of things can be very distressing in a family. In a family. So when we and anxiety, those are things that stress happens because there is something that the child, either by comparison to other people, can't do and wants to do, or a child cannot manage something at school or in her or his life. Anxiety usually because there's two loyalties in a person's life that are in tension with one another and they are incompatible. And the moment people understand where anxiety comes from, then they can make a choice. But it's a very difficult choice that they need to make, because they need to understand the two loyalties that they are keeping in their lives. So yeah, that is quite a challenge. But prioritize mental well-being, to actually get away from it all in a structured way, not just go and say you don't need to do anything. Get up, put on your tackies and go for a walk. Go in the garden, do some gardening. sit down and read a book. So those kind of things that you need to prioritize and plan it. It doesn't just happen. You need to plan it very well. And then please seek professional help and foster emotional support. I think that is one of the things that is most needed. Right in the beginning, there was a slide that emotional support was one of the priorities in the modern day families. So yeah, that's very important. How, and here's the questions. How can I emotionally support you? And also let the children ask them, father and mother, how can we emotionally support you? Because we always think it is the mother that needs to ask that question. But there's also a question from the children's side. How can we emotionally support? And there are ways that children can emotionally support parents. So yeah, that is kind of the vice versa of having the family meeting, so that we can actually sit down and talk about this. Then education and achievement pressure, especially in school, I think, and at work. High expectations for academic success can strain family relationships. So, topic for the family meeting agenda: encourage a healthy balance between achievement and personal growth. That's quite important, that it's not just the achievement. It is what goes with it. Because I can achieve, and personally grow nothing. And then I become a self-centered person that is just looking for myself and feeling good about myself, and everybody must tell me how good I am. Personal growth is to, when there's achievement, there needs to be personal growth to carry that achievement. Otherwise, it's not carried. So that is important to understand, that when we talk about this, that achievement and personal growth goes hand in hand. Then the time constraints. Busy schedules lead to a less quality time together. So the topic for the family meeting: schedule family activities. Prioritized shared experiences and create lasting memories. This is one of the most important agenda points for family meetings. And that is to actually bring in a timetable, bring in a list of shared experiences, lasting memories. But you need to schedule it, these activities. So, and it can't be just holidays once a year. It must be something based on a weekly basis, based on a monthly basis, so that in the end, the activities is not something that everybody's working towards. One time a year, there's this big holiday. And then when we go to the holiday, it's raining all the time and we get nothing of the holiday. So you can't have that big expectation, because there's so many variables that can go wrong. But to have family activities on a weekly and a monthly basis, that is what keeps the lasting memories. So yeah, keep that in mind if we have the challenge. And then there's the generational differences, generational gaps in values. Technology skills and communication styles. So make time, bridge the gap through empathy, active listening, and mutual respect. So that's also a very important point for the family meeting. And that is the 10 agenda points that I prepared for the family meeting. And the floor is now open for discussion. And if you want to ask some questions or contribute, as you did this evening, I'm more than willing to listen.
Thank you so much, Christo. That was very informative. I certainly learned a lot tonight. We've been requested. Would you be kind enough to share your slides with us?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. So the office, for those that attended tonight, the office will email you Christo's slides. Just another question. Oh, about to go ahead.
Good evening once more. It's not a question. In fact, I just want to add, and thank you so much, Christo, for the information you shared. It's very informative. So I was looking at where we should plan for the meeting with regard to the budget issues. I think this is a very good one because sometimes as parents, we tend not to involve children on matters or on financial matters, whereas what is happening within the house is also affecting the children. And what I know is children are very understanding. As long as you talk with them and make them aware to say, okay, as much as we used to go out every month or twice a month, now because of the financial constraints, we will only go out once a month. They will be so understanding. But unfortunately with parents, sometimes we take it for granted that they will understand. And another thing with the modern day parenting, I think we have lost a track somewhere. We tend to, I don't know how to put it, but what I've realized is you'll find that affordability, because we can afford, we just give. Whenever a child is asking for something, there's no point where at some point you'll say to a child, you know what, I can only buy this for you whenever I have money. So we give our children that impression that as long as you want something, you will get it. Forgetting that someday it may happen that you passed on as a parent, or both parents, you were working, you passed on. Children are now left with someone else. And it will be so difficult for children to adjust to that life if that person is not going to be able to afford just like you did as a parent. So it's something that we also need to work on as parents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mawati.
Any other questions or comments for Christo?
Can I talk?
Yes, go ahead, Annette.
I almost want to ask, taking everything you said into consideration, mustn't we at a point just still consider age appropriateness in every aspect of whatever we discuss as a family? Yeah, you can mention, let's have financial discussions. I think that's a whole discussion to have. Are you going to share your income by number with your child? No, you're not, in my opinion. Are you going to say, we might not have enough money this month? How you say it and how specific you are and how young or how old the child is, to me, are all very relevant things to consider before you just spit everything out. Or am I missing it?
I think you're a parent and you've got all the good feelings and the gut feelings to not share everything with every child. So yeah, age appropriateness is a very good point, and I think it's valid. For it's the same if you give a 10 rand note to a baby, it will put it in his mouth. But to your 12-year-old son, he will know what to do with that 10 rand. He will buy something. So it's just that kind of appropriateness that you will also take into consideration when you're talking about anything. You bring it down to the level of the child so that the understanding will be there, not just the information. But you need also to bring understanding what the information means that you are sharing. So I think it's important when you share information, yes, there's information and then there is the understanding of it. So the understanding of the information brings it down to the level of the understanding of the child that you're talking to.
Thank you.
Pratima?
Thank you. I think the age-appropriate discussions are extremely important. And correctly, your example of giving a 10 rand note to a younger child who will just shove it in his mouth, thinking it's something to eat, is a very good one. However, I also think that some of the not so comfortable issues need to be brought up and spoken about in an age-appropriate manner. So, for instance, if there's a sickness in the family that's going to lead to death, or if there's a death of a relative, that is a good opportunity to check with the children or the rest of the family whether it would be okay to discuss this, so that the younger children and the older people also understand that there is provision made if it has been made, or that actually we are so fragile that this can happen to us. And I think when we don't speak about it, it makes the shock of learning about it at the time when it happens far greater. So I think it needs to be the not so nice or not so comfortable issues also need a place in your family meetings or group meetings or whatever we want to term it. I think it's extremely important. It somehow has the effect of cushioning that information. Thank you.
I think that is a very good example. Thank you very much. For sometimes there is chronic sickness in the family, and you need to discuss it, because when one member of the family does have it, you're not the same every day as to how you cope with this, whether you're the patient or whether you're the family member. And you need to discuss it from time to time. You don't discuss it once and never discuss it again. But you need to keep track of where people are moving in connection with the sickness. And yes, when you get to people dying, from time to time, share some memories of the deceased so that people can voice their memories, voice their longing. And so that, yeah, I think it's very important to actually also have that as a topic on the agenda of the family meeting. Thank you very much. Geraldine.
Thank you. Dr. Nadia, I just have a question. And this was, thank you again. As always, you have me in tears, especially, as an attorney in family law and now becoming a mediator, and even in my personal life. So you gave us now on your slides, like, everything, and then make it a topic. What I would really love from you, and I don't know if anybody else would love that as well, but if you can put like a thing like, where do you think do we start? Like you started in the beginning, you said, get to know each other, make a kind of a agenda for a family meeting. I would like that, because where do we really start? Number one. And number two, the different ages, like a colleague just said, ages should be taken into account. And how do we kind of, if a parent, and I'm talking now as an attorney and mediator, how do we get our parents, our clients, to go for the idea? Do we say to them, look, this is so amazing, talk to Dr. Christo, or do we say to them, look, Dr. Christo's thing is on social justice, or do we say, here's a pinpoint of what you want to do on a general meeting in the family, and start slowly? Where can we get more information for parents that needs assistance in this? From your point of view, Dr. Nadia, how do we engage our clients? How do we get them to do it? How do we sell it?
Yeah, thank you. I think that's a very good question, Geraldine. I think, there is different agendas. These was just taken from the challenges and how you put it into agenda. And that can be at the bottom of the agenda. Here's some topics. Choose one for tonight. And then you can go through the 10 and choose one of these for as an extra topic. But there is maybe a set agenda. I think that's a good thing, that you use the 4 or 5 points that I've raised right in the beginning on the agenda. But you start off with maybe, and I'm thinking now off the cuff, maybe you start off with saying, okay, let's everybody share how was their day. Then that you just say, tell me all the facts that you've had the day. And then you share all the facts. And then the second thing is, what thoughts were you having today? And then the third one will be, what feelings did you have today? The moment you do that, you help your children to understand that there's more to a day than just factual information. There's also thought processes within me that happen today, and also feeling processes in me that happen today. So just make them aware of that I'm a whole being, that I have certain perceptions through my senses, that this is factual happening, and I give you that information. But then let's move a little bit closer and say, okay, what thoughts were there and what feelings were there? So that's just thinking off the cuff. But what I'll do is I'll try to put something like that as part of a slide and add it to the slideshow, and then you can work from there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sorry for giving more work, but the way that you think, and I want to do this in my own life, and I also want to do this in my client's life, and I want to tell them that, look, this is the way. When you have a divorce, talk to your children before you go through divorce. Just, you have to first heal yourself before you can, heal your children. So it would be really nice, Dr. Nadia, if you can put a little like start off with a conversation, because we're not all psychologists and theologists like you. We just, you know, mediators or attorneys or social workers or magistrates or judges. So it would be nice if we can just have like a point, you know, start off like that, and then these are the topics. That would be nice. That would be really amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Geraldine.
Wonderful. We've just got to 8 o'clock now, or just past 8. If there are no last questions or comments, then we would just like to thank Christo for sharing tonight so passionately about family meetings and the necessity for it. We've got beautiful comments in the chat box. People just thanking you for such a wonderful presentation. Much
Thank you
appreciated.
very much. It was such a pleasure to be here with you, and I enjoyed it. Thank you for the feedback and the interaction. It really made it worthwhile to be with you and spending this time. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night.
Thank you so much, Christo.
Thank
That was
you.
wonderful.
Have a nice day.
Thank you. So are you going
Thank
to
you for
email?
hosting.
Yes, thank you. Are you going to email us the office with your presentation?
Yeah, I will email them. Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you so much, and bless you.
You're welcome. Okay.
Thank
bless
you.
you.
So have a wonderful evening.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Geraldine.
Bye-bye.
Wonderful evening, you too.
Natalie,
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you. You know, we all said thank you now to Christo, you know, being the speaker.